Okay, I took the time to clean everything up and redefine things a little bit. And again, what I mean by redefining is recutting my lines, like next to the beard and underneath the nose and everywhere else, behind his arms here and all this. The last thing I need to do on the two things actually on the body portion before we go to the legs is I decided to put a little bit of an eyelid on it. So let's do this. I'm just going to cut, if I can see this. I'm going to cut, see where that line is. I'm going to cut straight in and I'm going to cut up to it, but I can't do it in front of the camera. It's too hard for me to see it. So, well, I can do it. Let's see. I'm going to just do a little cut, very gently, just cut it, and go turn so you can get the point closer to the edge, and you don't want to cut, like if you go all the way across, you'll be cutting into here. You don't want to do that. And just slowly, just take a little bit off. Let me do this up here, because I'm afraid I'm going to nick something out I don't want to cut out of here. I think my knife needs to be sharpened up again, because it's starting to tear instead of cut. So, but you get the idea here. So where we have it cut, right there, okay, I know it looks a little bit weird there. Where we have it cut up there at the corner, we're going to do a little triangular cut, just a tiny one, and that should be it. Alright, that's your lip. I'm going to clean that up a little better offline here when I can get up closer. The other thing you may want to do is soak the eye a little bit, but make sure your knife is extremely sharp when you cut it when it's wet. Otherwise it's going to tear it out and not cut it out. The other thing is, when you wet something like this with that spray and you go to put the stop cut in, you're not going to see it because the wood swells, and you kind of have to guess know exactly where you cut in order to remove the wood. So it's a little more difficult, but this worked out pretty good. I think this will be fine. I'll clean that up a little bit later. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to the bottom part of the coat here. We're going to just spray it real quick, just to make things a little bit easier. I do this a lot. The one thing with the spray, you don't want to overdo it. If you overdo it, you'll end up having what's called checks, meaning cracks, hairline cracks. Now, I have come to learn, and this is not something new, so maybe some of you know this already, but I've come to find out if you just let it sit for a day or two, if you have some cracks, just let it sit until it's completely dried. Sometimes those cracks disappear. If they don't, then you need to fill them in. But it's never a lost cause. You know, if you see these, if all of a sudden you look at it and it starts checking, there's ways of fixing it. There's always a way of fixing it, for sure. I'm going to switch knives here to a different Murphy knife, maybe one that's a little bit sharper. That I had a chance to, same knife, same type of knife. I have 2 or 3 here laying here. I interchange them all the time for what I'm using. I'm trying to get a nice crisp corner there. That will meet. There we go. And I'll do the rest back here. It's just so much easier for me. Alright. Alright, now what I do again is I go back and I take care. That thing isn't sharp either. Oh my. Let's see if this one's any better. Sometimes I get carving. Oh, nice. When it cuts nice, it cuts like butter. And if your knife is nice and sharp like this one is, you can see I'm just hardly any effort to put that knife through there, and it glides through. It doesn't drag or tear. All right, so that's the top. Now before we do the texturing, we're going to finish up with the bottom, because the top of the boot we have that little trim. Now this isn't an accurate boot, it's just kind of rounded up with the center put in. You can put some folds in it if you'd like. I usually do some folds in the pants if they're long. We can do that with this as well. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to trim a little bit off of the top here and just make it nice and flush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it, because there's such an advantage to this. Make it go a little bit quicker. Okay, I'm going to do each side a little bit and cut it flush to the top here. Here I'm going to go down a little bit on both sides of it. Alright, and really the front is no different than the back, a little bit different, not much. I just kind of round it off, and same thing there. We're going to just round it off a little bit down. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to get rid of all this rough stuff. Okay, let's do that first, because that's going to have to come off anyway. I may as well do it right away and be done with it. You don't have to worry about what you missed or didn't miss later on. That edge has to come off. There we go. There's a little sliver off of each side. Okay, that's done. There's a rough spot there yet. Alright, now we kind of have it rounded up a little bit. You round off the bottom a little bit as well. Just take the first little edge off. You're going to be rounding it more anyway. Oh, there's another rough. See, you never get it all right away. My intentions were good, but I get carried away with cutting other things here. Okay, what we're going to do here is the front and the back. Now you can mark it if it's easier for you. You can mark it with a pencil if you want. But I usually just eyeball it, and I take either the front or the back where the legs have to be separated. Kind of get it in the center. Bring it all the way down. Now you can adjust it a little bit if it's not perfect. Or you can take your V-tool up there and do it. But I know I have a cut there, so I'm just going to do a little V-cut on either side to start. You don't want to go real deep, because you don't want to dig into the leg next to it. Kind of just see if we can pop that out. And always make sure you cut it at the very top. Alright, and that will free up. See, it will free it up. You don't have a lot to work with here, but you'll get the idea.